Hey everyone, wanted to touch upon a nice wholesome recipe that you may or may not have heard of. It's kind of a rarity, but it's a French Acadian recipe. We call it patate fricassee up north in Maine, uh, but you may know it as fricassee or fricassee, beef fricassee. It's typically done with beef. Today I'm using ground beef. You can use stew meat. Um, you just want to season it well. You might have to kind of vary your recipe a little more, maybe add a little more liquid because sometimes that stew meat can be a little chewy if it doesn't cook long enough. So ground beef is usually the preferred way to go. You could use bison, moose meat, deer meat, whatever kind of meat you want to try. Even ground turkey, for example. I've got some sliced potatoes here. You may have seen some variations where they're kind of more diced or, in chunks. I like this because in the name of fricassee, it's kind of like fried and stewed in one. So these fry out better because they're thin. If they're a little more thick, you might want to blanch them for maybe 5 minutes or so and then fry them up. I've got some butter melting here, kind of medium-high heat. To that, I'm going to add a little bit down the road in the recipe some garlic to flavor it up. We've got onion here. I'm using the butts of some nice green onion. They're, sweeter, milder, and I just wanted to use some up. When I learned this recipe from my grandmother growing up, she never put celery, but again, I had a few stalks left over from a recipe this week. I wanted to use them up, but feel free to use whatever kind of onion you like, sweet onion, red onion, just dice it up nicely. I'm going to get these potatoes frying, and give me a minute. All right, we got those potatoes going. Didn't have enough room, so I'm going to have to do another little pan. That's all right. I mean, there's really no rhyme or reason to this recipe. You follow along, and you just want to get a nice, crispy sear on both sides. So, after maybe 3 to 5 minutes, check each side and flip them, and then I'll show you what to do next. We're gonna, soften up the onion and the celery, and then we'll add our meat, get some good flavor in there, add the garlic, let that cook up for a few more minutes, and then I like to add, maybe a couple tablespoons of flour. Make a nice roux, stir it up, get that flour taste out of it. And then I'll add the broth, and you can add some thyme to it, add a little more savory seasoning to it, and just let it cook up for maybe 20-30 minutes. So now that it's been a couple of minutes here, I'm just going to check and see how they're frying up. Oh yeah, see, you're getting some nice color. I'm going to give them another minute before I flip them. I'll post some sort of recipe that you can follow along in the comment. I just remember watching and helping my grandmother make this when I was growing up in Maine. It's a nice memory. We're getting lunch ready for the family. My aunt, some cousins, sometimes my uncle would come by for lunch. We have The Price is Right and Bob Barker talking in the background, and the aroma from this is so nice. So I'm going to flip these potatoes and check back in with you in just a minute. All right, as you can see, they're getting a nice golden sear. Just gives it a nice color, and it kind of helps the potato from getting too soggy, because there's going to be a good cup or so of liquid in this that it's going to kind of boil in for a little while. Oh, wait till you try this. This is a good recipe. And I didn't show you yet, but I did add some salt as I went along, just to get a nice... It helps draw out the moisture, too, and give some flavor. But we're going to keep flavoring this with some seasonings as I add to the recipe. Alright, these just need a couple more minutes per side. Well, I flipped them. I'll give the other side. So I'm going to start adding in some of my veggies here. So we got the celery there. These are going to have to fry up a little bit too. And we'll put some onion. We can add a little bit to my other one. This is not usually traditional where I have two pans going at the same time, but like I said, I needed some room to fry these potatoes, and I didn't want to do it in stages, so here we go. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? So we added the celery, we added the onion, I threw in maybe a good teaspoon of some chopped up garlic, and we'll just give that all a good stir. That way everything gets nice, translucent. The potatoes can keep crisping up a bit. I'll give this one a little stir. Just some fair treatment here. And then once everything is cooked up, I'm just going to combine them in the end. Oh, that smells so good. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit. And let that go for a couple more minutes. Alright, a few minutes has gone by. I'm adding the beef to it. And give it a stir. The veggies are starting to cook up part way. Just going to let the meat come to temp, kind of brown up a little more, because it was in the fridge overnight. I made tacos. And it's just me and my honey. We don't need to make a whole, dozen tacos for the whole family. We just eat a few each, so I didn't need to use a whole pound of ground beef just for, a few small tacos and some rice and beans on the side. So I just figured I'll use this beef up in a different recipe. And I thought, oh my gosh, I haven't made fricassee in a while. There we go, give that another minute or two, and then I'm going to add the flour. Maybe about a tablespoon or so, make a nice little roux, and that's going to thicken up after a little bit when you add your beef broth. Alright, so before I add the flour, I added another tablespoon of butter, just to give a nice base for the roux. I'm going to add a little more pepper. I've already salted the potatoes and the meat last time I cooked, so I'm going to be a little light on the salt. I'll taste in a little bit, and I'm going to add a nice savory spice, some thyme. Oh, you can use fresh. Hey, there's nothing wrong with using dry. Just remember, when you use dry herbs, they can be a little more flavorful. So maybe add, a teaspoon or so and give it a shot and taste that up. So I'm going to let that cook for another minute, and then I'm going to add some flour, sprinkle that on. Alright, added in our flour here. Give that a little stir to cook out that flour taste, and that's going to help make a nice thickening agent for the broth. Oh yeah. Oh, it smells so good. Alright, I'm going to stir that up, and then I'll take you to the next step. Okay, now the last step here, just about, probably add maybe a cup or so of some broth, beef broth. You can use bouillon, whatever you want to do, just make sure you're trying to stick with light flavors. So if you're going to use chicken or turkey, maybe use chicken broth or chicken bouillon. Alright, so we're going to let that reduce down. You can cover it. And then let it thicken up and taste it in maybe about 10 minutes or so. See if you need any more salt and pepper. So I'll be right back. So there you have it, folks. Nice, easy recipe, that you can whip up easily within 30-40 minutes or so. Nice and filling, nice and hearty, nice and flavorful. Easy on the budget. I'm just going to let this reduce down for maybe another 10-15 minutes. Now, as you can see, it's already getting nice and thick from that flour agent. And just let the flavors meld. Traditionally up in Maine, we would pair this with something called ployes. It's kind of like a crepe and a pancake, but there's no eggs. It's made with buckwheat flour, and you butter one side, you cook it on one side, but it's nice to dip this in the sauce. But you can do bread and butter, or some nice buttermilk biscuits. Like I said, there's no rhyme or reason, a specific way that you have to make this recipe. You can use it with any kind of meat. You can even change the way you make your potatoes. can boil them, blanch them. You know, leave your comments if your family made it a different way. So thanks for coming along. Hope you come back for some more recipes. This is just something I thought I'd try out. Who knows where it takes me? I hope you have a great day and you had fun. See you later.